Hey guys, we are live here. I am Emily, and this is Lil Frankie.
And my name is Matt Czuchry, and I play Dr. Conrad Hawkins on The Resident.
And I play Nurse Nick.
And we've got some fan questions.
We do.
Frankie, you want to pick one of these out? Okay, here we go. Could you read that for us, Frankie? What does it say? All right, here we go. Thanks, Frankie. Did you ever consider going into the medical field? Why? Why not? And I guess this is for
This is
you.
for me.
Yeah.
No, I did not. I would be horrible in the medical field. I'm far too emotional, and I don't know. I just have, especially after doing this show, a huge amount of respect for anybody in the medical field: doctors, nurses, surgeons. You know, it's an incredibly noble profession. But I don't know if I would have the stomach for it. My sister's studying to be a vet, and I see what she has to do every day, and I find it absolutely fascinating, but it would not be for me. How about you?
You're so great on the show as a nurse practitioner, Nick Nevin.
Thank you.
You may have to
You are
rethink that.
Pretty damn good as a resident as well.
Thank you. I had never thought of it before, but I'm grateful. I love the research, actually, all the stuff that we kind of research.
We're learning a lot. I did an incredible amount.
In all those books like Unaccountable and Do No Harm and When Breath Becomes Air, and the documentaries I watched were incredibly interesting, so it's been fun to kind of dive into that world.
Yeah, it definitely has. Some of the procedures are a little bit difficult to watch on YouTube, you know, when we have to.
Yeah.
It's a little like, ugh. But it's amazing. We're learning a tremendous amount, and I think it's pretty cool.
It's cool. It's cool.
I got one for you.
All right.
Why is this show different from medical dramas, and what do you think fans will love? That's a good one.
Yeah, I think it pulls back the curtain a little bit that we've not seen before, and all the good stuff and the bad stuff that happens too. I mean, the opening scene of a pilot has one of these characters, Dr. Bell, and he's performing a surgery, and that pilot, when I read that first scene in the pilot, it really drew me in right away. And that felt very different, and my particular character, I love how he kind of stands up for the little guy, and he's fighting against the system, and you also see the system aspect, the business aspect of what it costs to run a hospital.
We don't see in any other medical drama. I think we all had a very similar reason for doing this show, is to expose some of these stories that are incredibly shocking and frightening and sometimes funny, you know. But it's just very different in that it's really like showing a different side to the medical system that we haven't seen. And I think, as you were saying about Conrad and standing up for the little guy, I think that's why Nick and Conrad connect on such a deep level as well. Nick does the exact same thing. It's personal to her. This idea of medical error is very, very personal to her because of what happened to her mother, and she's very sensitive to it and always rooting for her patients no matter what. And as a nurse, that can be incredibly difficult because of the hierarchies within hospital systems, but she's willing to fight the fight, and I love her integrity, and I love that she's ballsy, you know, and we get to see a lot of that throughout you know, these episodes, and I think, you know, when these guys are together, they're kind of an unstoppable team, which is great. You know, they balance each other very well, I think, Nick and Conrad.
And you mentioned those medical errors. You know, when you have those experiences as nurses and doctors, it's hard to relate to everybody else on the outside world when you have this weight of the mistakes you've made. And I think that's, again, why these two characters connect. Conrad's not necessarily always emotionally available, but if he could be to anyone, it's with Nick, because you've been through those same experiences. So that, I think, is another window into the show, which is really interesting to see what is the weight that these doctors and nurses face when they make mistakes, and how do they carry on to that next patient to try and save a life.
Which is fascinating, because it's amazing how doctors and nurses are able to compartmentalize. You know, if they let themselves, you know, and with all the nurses that I spoke to and doctors, you know, if they let themselves become emotionally involved with all of their patients, they would be an absolute wreck. And so it's been fascinating to play with those levels of grief and sadness and emotion, because it's different from any other character I've played. I don't know about you, but
Absolutely. And we talked a little bit about just putting on the scrubs of how that feels different.
You walk differently. It's
Yeah.
very strange. Yeah.
It gives you a purpose and like a sense of responsibility, and that kind of changes. Is so different because I bring that up. It's so different than the characters I played before. Just putting on those scrubs really kind of changes your whole perception of who this character is and how you move physically.
You feel a little bit more tough, like emotionally stronger. It's weird, and then it's like a window into what these medical professionals feel on a daily basis, I think. So this is very, very cool.
Absolutely. So what do we got here? What has been some of the most interesting medical facts you've learned from filming?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the problem with me is that I think I have everything that is written in every episode. I mean, when I look...
all the ailments?
I have all of them. I call my mom after every episode. I'm like, Mom, I'm pretty sure I need to have this. I need to do that. Like, self-diagnosing has become a huge problem. Oh, gosh. I don't know. What about you?
All those books that I was mentioning before, like I would highly recommend When Breath Becomes Air is just such a great book. House of God is such a great book.
I think everyone needs to read Unaccountable only because it teaches you how to be responsible for your own health care, and it's shocking how unaccountable doctors actually are.
And the lack of transparency.
There's no transparency. Yeah, exactly.
In hospitals, and so I think with that question, if you want to read those books, they're not only, it's not just facts, they're also incredibly well written. They're fascinating to learn, and it has a direct benefit on your own life. So I would highly recommend just a couple of those books that I mentioned there for those medical facts.
100% agreed. One more? Is it my turn yet? Are there any guest stars you can tell us to expect?
We've got one guest star, Warren Christie, who, he's a great actor.
Wonderful actor.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And there may be...
We've had some good guest stars.
We have. And, there may be a little bit of...
yeah, he kind of brings
in
in a
the
little,
middle,
gets in the middle a little
Nick
bit.
and Conrad relationship.
Yeah, you get a little butthurt about it, but you try not to show it. You can feel it though. You're a little.
Yes, yeah. So
because he's a surgeon, you know.
He's a friend of mine
he's
from
like,
Afghanistan, but now he's
you're just a resident. He's
moving in on my girl a little bit, but we're not really together.
It gets a little complicated up in the hospital.
It gets complicated, so that's definitely one that guest stars coming through. He's a great actor, great guy.
Yep.
And that's just one of
many, because we have these episodic sort of stories, and everyone who's come in has been amazing. So we're very lucky.
So collaborative, and it's been fun. It's been fun. Any hilarious bloopers or on-set stories you can tell us?
We're quite serious.
Yeah.
We're quite a serious bunch, aren't we? We take ourselves way too seriously, I think, on set. Matt and I specifically are very hard on ourselves and talk about that a lot.
I think we're good for each other in that way, where we kind of are.
We try to remind each other to be kind to ourselves because we're very difficult on each other. But
so if there were bloopers, we wouldn't talk about it. We wouldn't want anybody to know about them.
No.
So we're blooper-less.
I'm sure they have outtakes. But.
Has Frankie fallen asleep?
Yeah, Frankie's asleep. So hopefully you guys aren't asleep with our answers.
And hopefully you'll still watch.
Yeah, watch The Resident. Sundays.
Mondays.
Mondays.
Starts Sunday.
Sunday after the
NFC Championship game on the 21st.
But then the 22nd, there's another episode, and then we continue on Mondays after that.
So hopefully you guys check it out, and hopefully you'll like it and not fall asleep like Frankie.